People in Switzerland, we don't have humor. We don't have emotions. We have money. So I bought my humor around a year ago in a second-hand shop. Before that, I was a really serious person, and many people believed that that was because of my father. Now, some of you might already know this. My father is a pastor, which is like a priest in the Reformed Church of Switzerland. When I tell this to people from more Catholic regions, they're usually really surprised because they are not familiar with the concept of priests that aren't, child rapists. But yeah, so I have a lot of weird interactions when I tell people that my father is a priest. They're like, "Oh, you're so open about, you know." And I'm like, open about what? About being an unwanted child. So then I often ask myself, how did they know? But it's actually, priests in Switzerland actually have a lot of freedoms. So they're allowed to have sex, they're allowed to have their own thoughts, they have all these freedoms, and my father decided to take all these freedoms and throw them out the window by marrying and having children. But these people, they have this image in their mind of me being the unwanted child of a priest, like it was in the medieval times. So I would live somewhere in a small village in the countryside with my mother, working hard on my farm because me being born was an accident, and my father sends me a herald with a few ducats once a week because he feels bad and he wants me to at least have clothes while I'm starving on this farm with my mom. Yeah, but most of the time I have to disappoint them because it's really not like that. I grew up in a pretty stable family with married parents. Crazy these days, I know. And my father is the least priest-like person I know. For example, when I was a kid, he barely even looked at me, let alone doing priest-like shit like touching me or exorcising a demon or something like that. So I can't really tell you any funny priest stories, but I have a lot of funny memories with my father. For example, my first drunk interaction with one of my parents. My parents are really strict when it comes to alcohol, which again many people believe is because of my father, but it's actually because of my mom. So when I started drinking, my mom tried to convince herself for as long as possible that I wasn't drinking anything with alcohol. So when I was passed out on the floor on Friday night, she just told herself, "Yeah, the poor boy, it's too much stress for him. He needs a lot of sleep." And my dad knew all along, but he had to act like he didn't because he always has to take the side of my mom, obviously, because he doesn't want to live on the street. Yeah, that's where the whole empowering women thing led for him. So yeah, the evening this happened, a couple of friends and I went to the lake in Switzerland, in Zurich. There's more than one lake in Switzerland. We went to the lake in Zurich and we planned to just hang out there and just chill for a bit. And when some people brought a little bit of alcohol, just a little bit, we decided we're not going to drink that much. We're responsible. We know that we shouldn't drink too much, not every day. So next thing I remember is being on the bus and having to go to the toilet really badly. So I get off at the bus station closest to my home, which is close, but it's still like a 10-minute walk when you're sober and really, really fast. So at that point, it was like when you fill up a balloon with water, and it's way too much water, and you expect it to burst any second, and just the water spilling out, making a huge mess. That's how I felt. And I was looking forward to holding it in for another 20 to 25 minutes, so I had to do something about that. And really close to this bus stop lives a famous Swiss, really right-wing politician. So normally when I'm drunk and I have to pee, I just piss in his garden. But that day was different because I didn't only have to pee. In Switzerland, we have a word. It's Bierschiss. It literally translates to beer shit, and it describes what a lot of beer does to your digestive system. So peeing myself in public wasn't my biggest problem at that time. It was more the Niagara Falls of diarrhea trying to unfold into my pants. So I started running towards my home. Me being really, really drunk, having to shit really badly, running through my town in a dark, cold Swiss winter night. What a childhood memory. I just hope no one saw me that night, because a lot of people know me in that town because my father is the priest. So yeah, I'm running and I feel how everything is shaken and stirred inside of me, like some weird excrement smoothie. And finally, after what feels like an eternity of running, I turn into my street and I see my house in front of me. At that point, it was like when you, as a kid, you held your finger on a water fountain just until like the water starts to splash out at the sides, and then you take your finger away and it shoots all out. Yeah, I saw the water splashing out. I saw that moment coming, so I ran a little bit faster, and I come to my door and I start fidgeting with the keys. And I felt like one of those guys in movies when they have to defuse a bomb, and they have like, it's like a timer counting down, like 10, 9, 8, 7, and they get nervous and maybe they drop something and they have to make a decision because it's a matter of life and death. So with just 1 second left on the timer, they cut the right wire and everybody's happy. So I managed to get into my house. It was closed, but I managed to put the right key and turn it. And when I entered, the toilet is luckily right next to the entrance, so I just threw away all my stuff and I entered. And yeah, that was the great moment of relief. I never had such a happy moment again. Just enjoy the moment. And I closed my eyes and I saw myself in paradise. I became one with the universe. My whole body felt good. It felt happiness in every single cell of my body. And I tried to stretch this moment as long as possible. And then I heard footsteps outside of the door. And at that moment, that scared me a lot, because who walks through the night through the house in the middle of the night? I knew that it wasn't a wild animal, because what I'd just done, the smells of that would have scared off even the bravest lion. But I thought maybe it's like a murderer who just stabbed my whole family and is now coming after me. And I looked up and I saw the window was way too close to climb out. So all that was left for me to do was to beg him for mercy and let me at least pull up my pants and flush so I can die with some dignity. So yeah, it's either a murderer or it's my family, which could be even worse if it's my mom, because at that point I couldn't act sober anymore. So I can't really decide on what I'm going to do, because the door already opens, and there's a really strong line pointed at me. It was a bit like this. I felt like in the spotlight, and I was like, ah shit, what is this? Being in the spotlight on the toilet is not a nice feeling. And after a few seconds, I can make out my dad behind the light, standing there with his sleepy, grumpy expression in his sky blue pajamas, holding a really strong flashlight at me. And I expect some kind of reaction from him, like he just burst into the toilet where I'm having a shit. He should say something. But he just closed the door again and left. So I finished, and standing in front of the mirror, I was thinking about things that I could say to him to convince him that I'm totally sober. Like, yeah, no, I'm not drunk, I'm just really retarded. Or, yeah, no, the smell of vodka, that is my new deodorant. So I left the toilet, and he was nowhere to be seen, which was strange, because you don't break into toilets and then you just run away. So I went to bed, and the next day I expected him to say something about this, because is he gonna explain? But no, he wasn't. He just didn't say anything until I asked him about it, and I was like, totally casual. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I thought someone was breaking into our house, and that's why I just opened the toilet door. And I just thought to myself, what image has he of a burglar in Switzerland? Like breaking into our house, and then there's a lot of like Swiss people stuff, like rich people stuff, because we're all really rich. So he sees all these nice things, but burglars in Switzerland, they're super rich too. So they just do that for fun. So he doesn't need these things, he approves of it. He says, oh yes, a fellow Swiss, really rich too, I like it. He looks at everything, and then he goes to the bathroom to take a shit, and then he leaves. So I told my parents about the whole stand-up comedy thing, and that there's probably gonna be a video before I knew what I was going to do as my set. So after my mom sees this video, I'm probably live on the street. So if anybody can offer me asylum, I would be very glad. Yeah, but I don't want to go to Mexico. All right, that was everything for me. Now, where's my alcohol? Thank you very much. I would like to ask all the comedians to come up on stage.